coffee consumers and crime connoisseurs. Welcome to the 12th episode of Mugshot Mornings, where we explore true crime one step at a time. Today's episode, we have another cult that we'll be talking about today, and it's probably one of the most well-known controversial topics, because is it technically a cult, or is it more on the lines of conspiracy, or are we just reading too far into it? The Church of Scientology, founded by science fiction writer L. Ron Hubbard in 1953, is a controversial religious organization that claims to offer spiritual enlightenment through practices such as auditing and progressing along the bridge to total freedom. While it presents itself as a legitimate path to spiritual betterment, Scientology has faced widespread criticism and allegations that it operates more like a cult. Critics point to its secretive teachings, high financial demands, aggressive litigation tactics, and reports of manipulation and abuse as evidence as its cult-like behavior. High-profile defectors in investigative media have further fueled suspicions and conspiracy theories surrounding the church's true nature and intentions. Now, I know that it's called Mugshot Mornings and we slurp some coffee, but I've had a day today. More like the past few days. So I am not sipping on coffee, everyone. Okay, I know. I'm so sorry. What do I have? An Aperol Spritz. What is that? What was that? Did y'all hear that outside? That was loud. Yeah, okay, I've made myself a caramel apple Aperol Spritz. Because, okay, let me talk about, I had another true crime story lined up today, but I'm not in the mood. Okay, let's just talk about a cult that I find interesting. And here's the thing, I don't know if it's a cult. These are allegations. Please do not come for me, the Church of Scientology, okay? Please. I'm not in the mood to deal with you. What is that outside? I made myself a caramel apple Aperol Spritz. And did I make it strong? Yes. Did I buy the nice champagne? No, the nice Prosecco to put into it. Yeah. Because I'm over it. Today has been so bad. You know when you get home? I work today. It's also not in the morning, which is probably another reason why I didn't want to drink a coffee. Because I normally film Friday mornings. But is today Tuesday at 3:37? Yes, it is. Some updates that I want to talk about some others, but I'm just not. Some updates. This past weekend I traveled. My sister came up. She came down. Let's if we're gonna get freaking technical. My sister came down from Indiana. She and her husband, and they stayed with us. And we went and got brunch, but then we had to end up cutting it short because I did have an uncle pass away. And we went to his funeral on a Sunday. And then this week, y'all, so my job, you can skip forward, it's okay. It's okay. If you just want to listen to the story, I will put a timestamp of when the story starts. My job is one of those jobs where I only get paid if people show. So I am a contract worker at this position. And it's like people take advantage of that. And it's like they know that I will not get paid unless you come. So when people don't show up, I don't get paid. So I'm there for hours in a day. And it's getting to the point of absolute stress. Because it's like they know I don't get paid. So they just don't come. There's my rant. It's because everyone was confirmed today and only one person showed. I don't have any other updates that I would like to genuinely talk about because I could sit here for hours. And start ranting. I do. This isn't a rant. This is actually a genuine thank you. My video last week got a high number of views in less than 1 week. And I gained like 26 subscribers from it. Thank you. Thank you so much. And to my two cousins who literally chime in all the time. I have two older cousins who listen to me. It's Jody and Buddy. Hello, Jody and Buddy. Thank you for listening. Shout out to y'all. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for subscribing. I'm going to put up a little picture right here. My subscriber to non-subscriber ratio is insane. I only have like 7% of my viewers who are actually subscribed. And for the people who are watching and who are not subscribed, hey, I see that you chime in every single week. I can see that. So I need you to press that subscribe button because it really does help out this channel. And like and comment and do all the things. Tell your friends. I know that I say this at the end, but I'm reasserting it now. So we're going to talk about this cult. Okay, I get to be a little bit more unserious with this because it's more of like a conspiracy theory cult tied in together. Now this is going to be, I could make a 3-hour long video, but I have pretty much summarized everything, so this may be kind of a short video. So we're just going to do a deep dive, a deep summary into what the Church of Scientology is. Now, is it a religion, is it a cult, or is it something more? So we're going to give it some origin first. The group was first developed by Lafayette Ron Hubbard, also known as L. Ron Hubbard. So I'm just going to call him Hubbard because that's a lot. Now, Hubbard was born on March 13th, 1911 in Tilden, Nebraska. His biography is pretty sketchy and it mostly consists of lies. Hubbard claimed that his father owned this huge cattle ranch in Montana, but in all actuality, he was a veterinarian in a very small town in Montana. His father was in the Navy during World War I, and the family moved around a lot because of his deployments. Hubbard was very interested in religion and philosophy at a young age. He claims in his biography that he traveled all across the world for a few years as an adolescent because he was interested in how the world worked. However, although he did travel a lot because of his father, it was not as brilliant and significant as he described in this book. Hubbard dropped out of high school his junior year and took entrance classes before he studied civil engineering at George Washington University. But he dropped out after only attending for 2 years. He claimed that he received a PhD, but he later admits that he paid for his PhD. He grew pretty successful in publishing stories for pulp magazines in the 1930s, and he focused a lot of his topics on science fiction. In 1933, he got married and started his career as a writer. During World War II, Hubbard served in the U.S. Naval Reserves, but not without a little lie. He forged a recommendation letter that boasted himself. He mentioned that he was really high up in the Navy. He was a superior and everyone looked up to him. But actually, he was described by his supervisors as not satisfactory for independent duty assignment. He actually literally worked a desk job in the Navy. He wasn't even good at that either. Another description of him by his supervisors noted that he lacked essential qualities of judgment, cooperation, and leadership, and was not at all qualified for command or promotion. It was noted that he needed really strict supervision in all positions that he was given. He mentioned to people that he won about 21 awards in the Navy, but he only really won 4 medals, and it wasn't even for him specifically. They were routine medals that were given out to everyone in the Navy, kind of like a participation trophy. After he was discharged, he did not return home to his wife and his children, but he moved to Pasadena, California to meet with the leader of a supernatural religious organization, Jack Parsons. The 2 men worked on the Babylon Working, which was a magical and sexual ritual. He published a book in the 1950s called Dianetics, The Modern Science of Mental Health, where he claimed he healed himself from illnesses that he got in the war. In his book, he wrote how each individual human has an analytic mind, and they are in charge of making the necessary decisions for survival. But in time of stress, pain, or trauma, that is the reactive mind that takes over. The mental scars from negative experiences are called engrams, and to get rid of them, you have to go through a therapeutic process called auditing. His book quickly became a bestseller. The American Psychological Association, along with other major organizations, didn't really vibe with his specific scientific nature of mental health. Also because he does not have a real PhD in mental health, so he's just making up all of this stuff with no education to back it up. In 1952, he developed the electropsychometer, also known as the E-meter, which measures the strength of a small electrical current that runs through the body as the individual answers the auditor's questions. This led to the transition of Dianetics to Scientology, which was a term that he derived from the Latin word scio, which means study, and the Greek logos, knowing. This was when the science of knowledge was born into the principles of Dianetics. This was no longer mental health, but a new religion. In February 1954, papers were filed in Los Angeles for the Church of Scientology of California, which became the first Scientologist organization. This was only shortly after his book was released. The core belief is that a human is an immortal spiritual being, also known as a thetan, that is a resident in a physical body. The thetan had had numerous past lives, including extraterrestrial cultures, also known as aliens. 75 million years ago, 13.5 trillion aliens were banished to Earth by a warlord named Xenu. These aliens that were banished were dropped into volcanoes and vaporized with nuclear bombs. The Thetans are the aliens that were banished, meaning that everyone on Earth are actually aliens, also known as Thetans. In order to save your soul, you must train yourself in your sins with the audits in Scientology. The sins are apparently caused by Thetans. Hubbard was so interested in magic that many people thought he was diving into Satanism. He had an experience with hypnosis, which is what led to him writing the Dianetics book. Hubbard was obsessed with Aleister Crowley, and that was his absolute idol. Aleister Crowley was a magician who founded the cult of Ordo Templis Orientis. In the book of Dianetics, you basically have to clear yourself of engrams, which is like trauma therapy. The church focuses on Dianetic theory, which is mental images of people's lives, specifically negative memories. After you clear your engrams with an auditor, you are in the clear. This leads to a clear planet, aka being saved. So very similar to a lot of Christian beliefs. In 1954, Hubbard discovered how to entirely clear yourself. Healing was no longer healing your previous negative experiences from this life, but all of your other past lives as well. The auditor will explain what happened in your past lives, and you have to clear yourself from all mistakes in all of the lives that you have had before. This is what caused the religion, the new discovery. So Scientology basically believes in souls that are connected to the Thetans. After you clear your engrams, your Thetans, aka aliens, can restore godlike power like telekinesis and telepathy. So at one point, we were all godlike powerful, according to the Scientologist beliefs. After this, you were becoming what is also known as an OT, also called an operating Thetan. But in order to be this, it is very, very, very costly. To become an OT, it is $1,000 per hour. But say something happens to you and you pass away. You as a Thetan go through space and you have your memory completely erased and you're sent back to Earth to enter another body. But through auditing, it is training for you to basically brainwash yourself and you can freely overtake other bodies without being sent into space. In Scientology, you are a Dianetics patient. It's like mental health therapy that is scientifically based, but both the American Psychological and the American Medical Association disapprove and don't believe that this is scientific based. They really don't like Dianetics and the practices and beliefs of it. Now, we'll go back to the E-meter. It is basically a lie detector test that auditors give and use on the Dianetic patients. This device sees through the human soul, and it's basically a response meter, just like a lie detector test given to humans. In April of 1953, Scientology started to shift more towards religion. Spiritual guidance centers started being placed for $500 for only 20 hours of auditing. In 1954, Church of Scientology was formed in Los Angeles, and it quickly spread across the US and the entire world. Hubbard was obviously the head of Scientology, but he retired in 1960 to work on the post-Thetans. He developed what is known as the Sea Org that was inspired by the US Navy. This was for the elite and only highly respected people. The Sea Org is corporate management, but they live like they are in the military boot camp. When people first enter the Sea Org, they have to sign a 1 billion year contract. Yeah, not $1 billion, 1 billion years because of the multiple reincarnations that you will go through. You are literally everything when you are part of the Sea Org. You run the fundraisers, you do the audits, manage the churches, and so much more. Some of ex-members of Scientology explained that they worked 20 hours a day with no pay, but had a $50 weekly allowance. When you try to leave, you are blackmailed, billed for your training, and so much more. Many people don't leave because they are scared to, and they believe that they can't afford their exit bills. Now, Hubbard went on to develop Sea Org, but in the 1970s, he was sued by the French Church of Scientology. He was sued with fraud and customs violations, and this caused him to go into hiding. He hid mainly in California, and he cut off all communication except for people who were his own trusted messengers. Like, he even stopped talking to his wife. The FBI launched something known as Operation Snow White. This was in order to find L. Ron Hubbard and investigate the church. Hubbard was in a bunch of legal issues, including theft from over 136 government agencies and foreign embassies and wiretapping. This was one of the largest infiltrations of the United States government in history. Many of the highly ranked church executives were convicted in federal court for obstructing justice, burglary of government offices, including the IRS, and theft of documents and government property. Scientology still continued as a religion and opened a celebrity center in the late 1960s. They wanted celebrities to be a part of it. This was going to help their message spread. They placed celebrity centers in huge cities like New York, Los Angeles, Nashville, and even in the bigger cities in different countries. Now, there are a lot of notable actors that are very famous that are associated with the Church of Scientology, including John Travolta, Tom Cruise, Elizabeth Moss, Danny and Christopher Masterson and their half-sister Alana, Juliette Lewis, and many more. There were also rewards for people who got celebrities to join the Church of Scientology. The headquarters for Scientology is in Clearwater, Florida, not the original one in Los Angeles. Hubbard fought alongside the Church of Scientology with the government for tax exemption until his death in December of 1986. He believed they were a religion and deserved the same tax exemptions as their churches, and in 1993, the Church of Scientology finally became tax exempt. After L. Ron Hubbard's passing, there was a new leader that needed to be inducted, and that just so happened to be David Miscavige. He was a little bit more charismatic than L. Hubbard and was a walking controversy. He is known to be egotistical, abusive, aggressive, very rude, and much more. David's father was a part of the Church of Scientology, which meant David pretty much grew up in the church. He even dropped out of high school to join and dedicate his life to the Sea Org. By the age of 19, he was leading the Commodore Messenger organization. Now, this organization basically investigates members of the church and tries to find dirt and secrets on them to use against them to send them to the church's hole. Now, what is the hole? It is basically the church's concentration camp. This is where they detain the members of the church who are unfaithful or had wrongdoings for rewiring. The church denies this, but ex-members say that this is very true. There is a conspiracy theory that David's ex-wife, Shelley, did a lot of things without his permission, and she was sent to the hole. Shelley first went missing in 2007, and still to this day has never been seen again after she went to the hole. The church denies that she disappeared and is living very private, but ex-members say that David is mean and capable of anything, and it is likely that he is involved in her disappearance. We're going to kind of give a brief summary of why Scientology is cult-like. It's basically an overall brainwashing scam. If you leave the church, you are either blackmailed or will have lies spread about you that damages your career. You also have to fork out thousands and thousands of dollars while in this cult for different services. There are many sources that read different numbers, but all of them totaled up to over $150,000 per member. They ask for money for charity, auditing courses, and much more. There's also a lot of allegations of sexual abuse within the church. There are many incidents that I could cover here, but here's mainly one that stuck out. An anonymous woman spoke out about how she was born in the church, and at 14 years old, she was raped and forced to marry her attacker unless she wanted to be at the labor camp, aka the hole. She would be sent there for 5 years unless she married him. By 16 years old, she was married. By 19 years old is when she had his baby, and in 1997 she escaped the church at the age of 23 and divorced him. There is also known cases of psychological and physical abuse, as told by ex-members. They try to recruit people and it takes people years to get out. Once you are out, people still a part of the church are no longer allowed to speak to you, ever. And if you do, there are very serious consequences. Ex-member Leah Remini has also sued the church for harassment and stalking, and she has received over 500 threats since speaking out, and even creating a show since she had left the church. The church is also accused of human trafficking, forced child labor, and forced abortions. David Miscavige has over 20 lawsuits against him. One of his spokespeople explained that the cases are just harassment and extortion and are absurd and blatantly false. Ex-members literally called this a cult. Many ex-members are also known for committing suicide from the years of manipulation and mistreatment. The Church of Scientology also is in favor of suicide. They call it the dropping of the body and escaping the trap. Allegedly, L. Ron Hubbard did not pass in 1986 from a stroke, but he actually committed suicide to discard his body. The Church of Scientology is still active today, and it is claimed to have over 10 million members worldwide. David Miscavige went into hiding for a while to avoid his lawsuits, but was seen earlier in 2023 and is still active leader today. So, what do we think? What the hell? Thetans? Aliens? Am I a Thetan? I am not. I don't believe in it. I know, isn't like Tom Cruise like still pretty active in the Church of Scientology right now? But that is like most of the research that I have found. A lot of stuff say like a lot of the same things, so I just pretty much added that. Now, why did I move my microphone away? Hello? Now, is Scientology still as popular as it was before? I don't think so. I think that it has a much smaller following now, but not saying that it's not active. There are still people who believe in this. And again, please, Church of Scientology, this is just allegations and for entertainment purposes only. Please don't come for me. So, what do we think? Do we think it's a cult? I mean, pretty much any type of religion that you follow that somebody just randomly made up is technically a cult. But I also could be making that up. What do y'all have to say? I love hearing your guys' opinions, thoughts in the comments. So, let me know. And let me know if y'all would like to do me this. If y'all would like for me to do the story based off of David's missing wife, Shelly, because I do have that in my notes for a topic that I would like to review and like to do a video on. So if that is something y'all are interested in, I will definitely do it. And if y'all want me to go more in depth with it, I'm also fine with doing that. That'll probably be a really long video. So I appreciate you guys always for listening and tuning in. Thank y'all for not coming at me for not drinking coffee, but drinking literal alcohol because the world is ending. So yeah, again, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for my audio only listeners. Be sure to rate this podcast 5 stars and send this to your friends and write a review. Thank you for the people who are subscribed and watching my video and tune in every single week. Again, if you are subscribed, or if you are not subscribed and you follow me and continue to watch my videos, just hit subscribe. Be a part of this family and tell your friends as well. Thank you again so much for listening, and I will see you guys next Thursday. Bye.